I remember when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to walk from the middle school to the high school to go to a football game. And I didn't have Apple Maps or Google Maps back then. There was no GPS system. But the distance between the two schools was less than a mile. I did Apple Map it, and it's 0.9 miles. So it should have taken me less than 20 minutes to walk from the middle school to the high school. Again, I didn't have maps, so I didn't know what the most direct route would be, but it's all in one subdivision, didn't have to go on any major roads, should be easy. I had to use my memory to know how to get there. But my memory was based on the route that the school bus took. And obviously, school buses don't just go from one school to another. They make stops along the way. So I started out from the middle school, started walking the direction that my school bus drove every day. And I knew the streets. I knew that they made a left turn at the first stop sign, and at the next one they were going to make a right. And so I started doing that. And what should have taken me 20 minutes to walk ended up taking me an hour and a half. Going up and down streets, around in circles, on a pointless journey that should have been a very easy destination. I still made it to the high school. I remember walking and feeling so lost and alone and completely off track. And that feeling was very real to me, like I was in the middle of the wilderness with no resources to help me. I didn't have a cell phone. That concept didn't even exist back then. But I was still, in reality, in the middle of a subdivision. I could have easily gone up to a door and knocked and asked for directions or asked for help, but I didn't. And so I was just left with this feeling of lostness. And I think back to that time, and there could have been a much easier path that I could have taken. And I liken that to the situations that we get into today, and when we choose to go down a different path or take a different option than what may be the best. And you know, in the Bible we hear about the Israelites in the Old Testament, and God had brought them out of captivity in Egypt and was going to give them a land that was prosperous for them and was flowing with milk and honey, and it was going to be the land that he promised to them. And all they had to do was walk from Egypt to the promised land. That's it. And he was their tour guide. He was there in a pillar of smoke by day and a pillar of fire by night. They weren't even alone. They didn't have GPS, but they had a physical representation pointing them on the direction they were supposed to be going. But along the way, they experienced feelings of loneliness and lostness and doubt. They didn't think they were going to get to the right place. They made choices that made them detour and made them go off track. But in those times, they were reminded over and over and over again that they were never truly alone. And no matter what path they were taking, no matter what detour, no matter what route they ended up on, God was always with them. God was always faithful to them. And God was bringing them into the place that he had prepared for them. And that's the same way with my story. When I was in middle school, I was never really alone. I was never truly lost. I was always able to find my way, and I got to my destination eventually, no matter all the side detours I took. So even though the Israelites lost their way, they never lost their God. He was always with them.